Hello and welcome to Fossil Arcade. I'm Graeme and I'm back again with Alex.
Hello.
Today we're going to be playing another Sega Ages game. Have you ever played Space Harrier?
I haven't. I know of it.
So we'll be filling in another gap in Alex's arcade knowledge. Just like Wonder Boy last time, this is another Sega Ages port by M2. Space Harrier originally came out in 1985 and it's one of Sega's big early 3D games using sprite scaling.
You see now, this is good cover art.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I quite like that. I like the detail on the... I was going to call them a dragon, but God knows what they are.
It's kind of like double-ended dragon, sort of cat-dog situation.
Okay, so what do I want to go on? Are there any... I remember when we played Wonder Boy, there were certain settings we wanted to change, even before we played, button configurations and things.
Oh, it's all fine, but you've got the original mode, and then they've got this Kamainu, how do you say that? Kamainu barrier attack. Which is like an extra feature they put in to make it a bit easier, but I would say start with the original mode and just see how you go.
So what's my insert coin button X?
Welcome to the fantasy zone.
So yeah, as you can see, it's kind of like 3D in 2D, and this was like the big thing that kind of like started to grow gaming from a 2D medium into a 3D medium, even as early as that. Obviously, like early kind of consoles weren't capable of 3D technology, but when developers started experimenting with sprite scaling, you could sort of create this kind of faux 3D effect. The earliest instances of sprite scaling was done with like vector graphics. So Sega had a game called Motocross, which was like an early racing game, and that used vectors to kind of make it look as though you were racing a bike off into the distance. And early consoles like the Master System could do integer scaling, which is where you could scale a sprite to a fixed point, so you could have 1 times size or 2 times size. But then they developed this super scaler technology on the Sega X arcade board, and as you can see, like sprites can scale kind of
Quite effectively.
Yeah, it's done in like a linear fashion. It just progressively scale from any size to the smallest size to maximum size, or like they can expand like larger than they're drawn. And it creates the 3D effect. So there's like thousands and thousands of sprites like possible on screen at the time. And obviously if you think about the arcade landscape at the time, I mean, Pac-Man came out in 1981 and this was 1985. It's like there's only 4 years between these two things, so this would have been really kind of like mind-blowing at the time. It's quite a simplistic game though by today's standards. I think the main appeal of it is to play it from like a historical point of view. The gameplay is addictive and I do love playing it. But it's very simple kind of like one-track mind kind of gameplay, just like flying and shooting and just like kind of...
Can I turn off? It's got inverted.
Inversion, yeah. The reason it's inverted is because when the original arcade cabinet came out, it had like a flight stick.
Okay, that makes sense.
So it's inverted because of that. And the original arcade cabinet would actually move, so as you sit in it, it would like move around, so you'd get like this kind of like full motion effect.
There's some little details in it that I really like. Like, I really like when you start off after dying like that, that you're running across the ground just for a few seconds. And if you do go down on the floor, you can carry on running, but I really like that. You do get a sense of this though, again, as we found with Wonder Boy, that it's an arcade game and it's made to sap your money.
Yeah, you can use that infinite continues obviously in this. But...
Yeah, because it's quite hard to avoid scenery and the enemy's projectiles.
It's a memory game, isn't it? You have to play it over and over and over to remember where these things are going to be and how to avoid them, and unless you've got the cash to like fund that, you wouldn't be able to do it in an arcade setting, so it's completely like different when you're playing at home. But yeah, they've added online leaderboards to this for both like the original mode and the easier mode.
Show me how it's done.
We could see if we can turn off the inversion.
Yeah, it was just catching me out a little bit.
Yeah, you can. So you can try it non-inverted if you want to.
Do you play inverted?
I play inverted.
Well, I'll wait till you've done. So have you ever played the original arcade?
I haven't played the original arcade. You can play the arcade game in Yakuza 0 though. Oh. So I went to the arcade in Yakuza and I played it there. But no, there's...
Second best thing.
I think there's an arcade in Leeds that has it.
Right.
So we should get out there one day and do that.
Shall?
I haven't started yet.
I thought Yeah, I'd really like that.
Get ready.
I think it looks like a great arcade game, definitely.
But yeah, as you can see, like it's just like about memorizing like where they're going to be in the early stages. It's not so that hard to do that. When you get later on, the patterns of the enemies is a lot more manic. Nowhere near as easy to recall, just because it's so kind of unstructured.
You've got your playstyle's different to mine. You do lots of small little movements.
I've learned
like
through,
strafing almost.
Yeah, I've learned through playing it on the 3DS in the 3D Classics version. If you do a sort of like wiggling, you can dodge enemy bullets a lot more easily.
Okay.
And it also places your own fire like in a circular motion, so you have like a wider like kind of area of impact. So that's my technique. I'm not like the greatest in the world at Space Harrier or anything like that.
Well, I'm certainly not.
But yeah, on the bosses, if you just like wiggle and then like get out of the way before their fire comes towards you, I didn't do it very well there.
It's
Get ready.
yeah. I remember us talking previously about how we like to see enemies glowing. as
Oh
they
yeah,
get hit.
changing colours.
And I know these do, but for me, there's not enough impact to show that you're actually hitting it each time. Like it looks great there, where you clearly had almost died.
They actually
but
rumble
they don't
through that,
flash. Yeah.
Like you can feel it in the controller, which you wouldn't have had in the original arcade machine. But yeah, I agree. Like, on the bosses are all quite creative in this. They all have kind of like totally different looks, and the further you get in the game, the more like weird stuff you see.
This actually reminds me. Do you remember the film The Lawnmower Man from the 90s?
I've never seen it.
They did a game of The Lawnmower Man,
Okay.
and it had sections a little bit like this.
Like
Clearly,
photos
I'd
and
say,
stuff.
and I'd say even the playstyle of it was lifted from this, and it had pillars coming towards you that you had to dodge. I've got a feeling it might have been first person, but yeah, straight away I remembered that. But that's kind of an insult to Space Harrier in a way.
All of these like super scalar games were
Get ready.
the development on them was led by Yu Suzuki, which is a name you probably heard like in gaming history. He's famous for Shenmue at the moment, but he was the lead designer, director, and producer on Afterburner, Space Harrier, Hang On, Super Hang On, Outrun, which are all like super scalar games that kind of built upon this idea of 3D. Do you want to try the extra mode?
I was just trying to find.
Oh,
where
the
I-
inversion. If you
Yeah.
go into advanced settings and just turn it off, you can see what it's like without. But yeah, I prefer the inversion because it's reminiscent of the actual kind of flight control. Tukamainu, join Harrier and create a barrier around him. This barrier can destroy anything, but it can't protect against enemy fire. So if enemies come towards you, I guess you can like splat them. But yeah, if they take damage, they'll get stunned and it'll be like out of action for a little while. I've tried this mode. It is a lot easier. I think you get infinite continues on this. It's like free continue mode. So you can get all the way to the end if you just keep on like pressing X. It's just like a practice mode in a way.
I like it.
Yeah.
The critters are great.
None of this would have existed in like the arcade version.
Something I like about M2 though is even if they add something like that, it looks like it could have existed. It doesn't look out of place.
Yeah, they're very good at kind of building upon the original rather than like kind of they like to kind of add to the history.
I'm definitely getting on better this time, I guess, because these help us combining.
You're doing great.
Yes, things like that where the dragon hits the ground and
Whether it
leaves.
falls and like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
really cool.
fly through its.
It gives that
Fire
idea that you are
destruction.
like going forward through space. It just like helps that kind of feel settled in your mind. I mean, I don't know if this was a conscious choice, but if you think about Afterburner and Outrun, and Super Hang-On as well, they're very kind of realistic, grounded games where you see like motorcycles and cars and airplanes like in this style, whereas this, they've got kind of free reign to put in whatever they want, like flying heads or like little dragons or weird little airplanes and stuff, and it just lets them be more creative, I suppose, and show kind of what the technology is capable of.
Get ready. You're doing great.
So where does Space Harrier rank in your favourites amongst like old arcade games or?
Pretty highly.
Sega
I'd
games.
like to get on the actual arcade unit and play it I played Outrun last year and Afterburner, and it just completely reset my opinion of those games, and I appreciate playing them on console a lot more after the fact.
Great.
What's going on here?
This is like a bonus stage. If you use this, you can like destroy all the trees, and like the more trees you destroy, the more points you get.
Oh, this is brilliant. This is the best part of the game. I was really confused because the dragon was coming towards me. I was thinking, I can't fire. That was great. Highlight the game.
It's a shame there is one thing I would have liked them to add would be a bonus mode where you can just do that, but like
Endlessly.
in like a time trial sort of
Yeah.
thing. This is where you kind of get more and more weird like flight patterns from the enemies. Yeah, it's a lot harder to kind of preempt them in this one.
Yeah, these Kamino are clearly giving me an advantage. How long a game is it?
It's got, I think it's 18 stages,
Oh, wow,
and there is a level select available in this in the Sega Ages version. So as you go through and you beat the stage, you can then like restart from that point if you want, rather than like play the whole game.
You initially you almost panic. There's so much going on, and you're trying to avoid enemy fire, and
It's sensory overload, isn't it?
yeah, and it's all very bright and everything's moving, and you've got that feeling of movement to it as well, which I think can be a bit distracting at first as well. But actually, as it goes on, I've now reached the point where I'm really enjoying the level design, like the change in scenery. You know, I just went from a
Oh, you
somewhat-
see, it's inverted now, so
yeah, to
Can't
you,
do it.
yeah. Yeah, I liked the level fighting spaceships, and now we're on an ice planet with woolly mammoths and skeletons around and things.
I
Yeah,
think part of the when you say there's all these things coming at you, you can't take it all in. The otherworldly design of all the enemies and creatures is part of that. They're trying to disorientate you and distract you so that you can't like get too far. Because you just like everything you see, just like what am I looking at?
but if you'd walked past someone playing this in the 80s on an arcade and you'd not seen it before, you'd been like,
It
you'd
would
have been lining
definitely,
up straight away.
draw
There's
your
no
attention.
way you could say, oh, I've seen it before. That doesn't look very appealing. Everything about it is appealing.
I cannot play with this like inversion. There's something else they added that I want to show you. And like I say, with the inversion, it's designed to mimic a flight stick, but we can give it a go with motion control.
Okay.
So they put in like a flight stick control where you actually just like move the Joy-Con. It's quite hard because without like a fixed point.
Yes. No base. Yeah.
But we'll give it a go.
Do you actually do that when you play it? Just to give you that stability?
Well, yeah, that's one method. So yeah, if you go into the stage select, you can see it will take you to any stage that you've already been to previously. I've not got to the end yet, but I could start stage 8 if I want to. But we'll go from the beginning just so we can make a comparison with the motion control. So you hold it like this, press the stick to calibrate it, and then any of the shoulder buttons will do the rapid fire.
Okay.
So I wanted you to play the regular mode first, because
This looks so difficult.
actually is it still inverted, or is it the right way? I think it might be inverted wrong for me. Yeah, I wanted you to play like the original version so you could see the patterns of the enemies, and then go into this one and kind of have a fair fight kind of thing. So yeah, I'm pressing SR to fire because that's what's comfortable for me, and then it leaves a finger free to like recalibrate it if I
Do you need to recalibrate off?
pretty much. Yeah, 'cause you want to hold it like dead still to have it in the centre, as though the flight stick like weren't being held at all, but like your hand's never still, and the kind of one-for-one nature of the motion control is almost too accurate for it, whereas like your hand is never like completely still whilst you're playing. So yeah, I try to kind of hold it as central as I can when I calibrate it.
I really like this mode though, just purely for the fact I haven't played it yet, but I really like the idea of it because for people that are massive Space Harrier fans,
Yeah, it's almost as good as having the arcade machine in your house.
yeah, and it just adds another element. If you've played it on the home console for years and years, it gives you an excuse to play it again.
Yeah,
And of course the leaderboards.
Unfortunately, there isn't a separate leaderboard for the motion controls. That's one thing I was disappointed about. I want to be able to look on the leaderboard and see, oh, did the number one guy get there with the Joy-Con joystick thing? Because if so, that would be amazing. Because it is so much harder. But unfortunately, it just lumps you in with the other players.
Yeah.
Which means using just a regular joystick is so much easier. But yeah, it would be good if there was a separate leaderboard.
Yeah, this is the odd thing about hitting the bosses, is that your projectiles bounce off them. Yeah, it's
well, they bounce off the body, because on this you have to hit the head. He's only
yeah.
taking damage when you specifically hit him in the face. If you hit the body, that's when you get those ricochet shots.
Okay.
Right to the last stage. I can get in. There you go. Yeah, I'll do a couple more stages if I can. Next time I die, I'll pass it over to you. And you can, get carpal tunnel as well. So this is one of the best features about this port in a way, because I know probably I'm going to play this seriously because it is so hard, it's more of a novelty. But with the 3DS one having the 3D that's now kind of been lost on the Switch, it's nice to have, a bit extra.
Yeah, that's unique to this port. Yeah. Do any other M2 ports do you know of have
Motion control.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Outrun port has motion control. I talked about that in the review that I did of that. And I imagine if they did Afterburner, they'd put motion control in that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to go?
Yeah.
All right.
Keep the inversion as it is,
Oh,
because it might make more sense.
Because it's more of a flight kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay, so I hit the stick.
Yeah, click it in to calibrate it.
Ugh.
Overall, you're not a
Initial
fan of
reaction.
motion, are you? I know you don't
No.
use motion when you play Splatoon. But would you use motion in other games?
Yeah, maybe.
Don't have to be kind. If you hate it, you hate it.
No, I don't hate it. The Splatoon thing is just... Splatoon's too fast for me to do motion control.
Right.
And I know that sounds silly because it does give you that more pinpoints aiming when you need it, but I don't know. Like you said before, you've seen me play Splatoon and you thought I was using motion control.
Yeah,
so
it's there. I wouldn't have known. So it doesn't mean you're definitely better for motion or you're definitely worse.
No.
But I think in the case of this Space Harrier game, it's so much more difficult with motion because you don't have a fixed point.
Yes.
If we had a physical flight stick, it would probably be one for one with the arcade and be almost easier to play because it's how it's been designed to be played.
I find I can go... I go to the very top or I go to the very bottom, but it's very hard to stay in the middle.
I agree, yeah. You can sort of wiggle around like I was doing with the thumbstick, but not kind of intentionally. Whoa! I can
So
see...
you feel it in your wrist very quickly.
What, you mean the pain?
Yeah. Just from the minute kind of movements you're doing. It's very quick to bring out sensitivities. I've got a couple of hits in my face. If I can beat the boss in this mode, I'll be happy. Can you hit the back of his head?
No, well, I think maybe any part of that head, piece. Oh.
Get ready.
I always love when you hear from the creators and you kind of realise the depth of thought that went into it.
That's one of the great things
It's
about
quite
it.
easy to look at an arcade game or something like this and just think that it's quite simple. Clearly it isn't, but...
Yeah, you could take it all for granted. You might just think to yourself, oh, that ground is just like a 3D texture, but it isn't. Each piece of that moving towards you is like an individual line of sprites being drawn at a different scale as it comes as the perspective changes. None of that is 3D, it's all flat. Yu Suzuki said that he programmed the game in 3D and then would kind of retroactively work back to make it 2D so that it felt like a genuine 3D experience. How do you feel of Space Harrier?
Really enjoyed it.
Yeah?
It's very addictive, you were completely right. I think it takes a couple of levels to get into it because, as I was saying earlier, you get over the frantic nature and the dodging and stuff like that. Once you do, you suddenly realise that there's quite a lot of depth to it. Excuse the pun. And you appreciate the level design and the backgrounds. And it is reminiscent of things like Outrun, where you've got
Learning the patterns kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I was thinking more like seeing cityscapes in the distance that start to get closer and things like that. It's it's very well put together. And yeah, definitely one I would see myself playing more and more.
Yeah, all these Sega Ages games are quite affordable and like easy to pick up, and I think that anybody who's interested in arcade games should play at least a couple of hours of this. It does feel a bit antiquated today. You know, it's an early game and it is quite repetitive, but when you get into the patterns and like learning kind of like the nature of all the enemies, yeah, you kind of find yourself coming back to it again and again and again. So thanks for watching this episode of Fossil Arcade. Hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane with Space Harrier. Always a good laugh, really great port by M2. So yeah, any kind of arcade aficionado should be looking to get hold of that and give it a go.
Highly recommended.
Yeah, thanks again. See ya.
Bye.